Hey, for those of you struggling with number 8 on the problems that I handed out to you, or that we worked on in class starting yesterday, I'm going to go ahead and walk through the appropriate way to do this problem. So it says, given a normal distribution with 80% of the values above 125 and 90% of the values above 110, what are the mean and the standard deviations? So this is a little trickier because I don't give you any of the info. I don't tell you what the standard deviation is. I don't tell you what the mean is. So I'm going to do what I always do here, which is create my um, normal curve. I'm going to say that's m for the mean. And I know that 80% of the values are above 125. So I know 125 is below average. It's got to be somewhere over here because 80% of the values are above it. If I had placed 125 over here, there's no way 80% could have been above it. So I knew it had to be below average. So there's 125, and I know this amount here is 80%. So similarly, they tell me 90% of the values are above 110. So I know 110's got to be over here, and then this is 90% of the values, and that's 110. All right, so I'm going to use the chart at this point. So what I want to know is, if 80% of the values are above 125, how many standard deviations away is 125? So let me go to my chart here. There we go. So I'm looking for 80% in here, and 80% is right around here. This is close enough for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is 0.801234. So I'm going to say 0.84. Okay, so I'm going to go back here to this problem. So 125 must have a z-score of 0.84. I'm going to do the same thing with 110. I want to find its z-score. So its z-score, I know the number of standard deviations away has to make it so that 90% of the data is here. So I'm going to look at my chart, and I'm going to look for 90%. So looking pretty quickly, looks like 90% is between here and here, and this is 1.28 and 1.29. So I'm just going to call it 1.28. So I'm going to go over here and say this 110 has a z-score of 1.28, and I'll have to double check that z-score. So then, all right, so this is enough information. I can say that 125 plus, so I'm just going to turn this into addition problems, plus 0.84 standard deviations will equal the average. All right, so starting here, if I go 0.84 standard deviations up, then I'll reach the mean. Or if I started here at 110 and I went 1.28 standard deviations up, so I could say 110 plus 1.28 standard deviations will end up equaling the average as well. Oh, well, using systems of equations, if this equals m and this equals m, then I can use substitution. I can plug this in for m up above. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 125 plus 0.84. I'll just call it S. I'll call it D. I don't like using S. D equals 110 plus 1.28 D. Now I'm going to, this is just algebra. I'm going to subtract 0.84 D's from both sides. And I'm going to subtract 110 from both sides. And then I'll get 15 equals 0.44. And now dividing both sides by 0.44, I'll solve for D. So then D equals 15 over 0.44. I'll use my calculator real quick. Clear 15 divided by 0.44, 34.09 or 30. I'll just call it 34. So D is about 34, my standard deviation. So I'm looking over here. I just want to check to see if it's reasonable. It's kind of hard to check here for reasonableness with this, but these numbers are pretty big. This is about half a standard deviation is 15. So if I doubled, I get 30. That's reasonable for 34. So now how would I find the average? Well, I know if I started at 125 and I went up 0.84 standard deviations, I'll reach the median or the middle, the mean. They're all the same, right? And it's normal distribution. So I'm going to write here 125 plus 0.84, and I do know my standard deviation is 34. I'll get the average. Or if I wanted, I could do 110 plus 1.28 standard deviations will equal the average as well. So either one of those. And so when I do, it's clear here, 0.84 times 34, that's 28.56 plus 125, I get 153.56. 153.56. Or, I'm going to clear this out, I'm going to do 1.28 times 34 is 43.52, and I'm going to plus 110 to that, and I get 153.52. 153.52. Why are they different? Well, because I rounded this. If I carried it farther, more decimal places, they'd be actually closer to each other. All right, hope that helps.